Hello, happy students. This is Professor Peterson. At least I hope pretty soon, huh? Hey, we're going to do a review. I'm going to do a review right now of the sheep heart dissection that we did in lab last week. You guys have a lab exam practical next class meeting. So I'm going to go through all those structures I went over in lab. Make sure you refer to your lab list. And I'll post this on the LMS. You guys can review it as many times as you need. Spend a little time reviewing this, you're going to have no problems. So let's get her done. You guys know the apex of the heart is on the left side, which makes this the left ventricle, and over here is the right ventricle. Those are the sending chambers. The receiving chambers are the left atrium and the right atrium. When you look at vessels coming off the heart, you ought to notice the difference in the thickness of the walls. So these vessels have very thick walls along with this one. This is the aorta, and this is actually the brachiocephalic, which is already branched, and this branch has become the right subclavian. Well, this one is the right common carotid. That's taking blood up to the head, this to the shoulders, and these are thick-walled. And if you compare that back here, the right atrium, I find another thin-walled, must be a vein. I'm going to go ahead and follow where that seems to be headed. I know where I am. I'm going to go ahead and make a hole. And out comes the probe through, again, the right atrium. That means that is the inferior vena cava. Alright, let's go back to the front. Got the diagonal groove. Open it up. You guys know the left ventricle here and the right ventricle. Look at the thickness of the wall. Here's the septum. Left ventricle much thicker, more muscular, pumping blood to the entire systemic circulation, whereas the right ventricle has a thinner wall, still strong, but it's only pumping blood to the lungs, so doesn't need to be as muscular. And there you have your two sending chambers. Your two receiving chambers are here, the right atrium and the left atrium. I want to point out the valves. We got two valves here. On the left side, this is called the bicuspid valve, more commonly the mitral valve. Both of these are also referred to as atrioventricular valves because they are the valve between the atrium and the ventricle. But let's call it the mitral valve right now. You see the chordae tendineae attached. They are attached to the valve, and here's a papillary muscle. When the ventricle contracts, those muscles tighten up. The flaps, want to bulge into the left atrium, but those chordae tendineae hold on, and the muscles keep it from bulging in too far. And so we send the blood out through. You can see a flap of tissue here. That is the aortic semilunar valve. Out. I'm going to close this, find my way, gently, kind of, sort of, and let's see where that's headed. You might have, there we go. I'm headed out the aorta. So, yeah, that's how we know it's the aorta. It's the only exit out of the left ventricle, and that's where it came through. All right. All right. I'm going to go ahead and enter through here. This is the pulmonary artery. How might I know that? I would maybe stick the probe through. I'm finding which direction it's headed, not poking any undue holes. And there I find myself, if you see the probe, it has entered the right ventricle. So I know that's the only exit out of the right ventricle. And there you see it's taking blood out here to the lungs. Blood returns from the lungs by way of the pulmonary veins. I know that has to go into the left atrium. I find the left atrium. I should find a vessel headed in there. Sure enough, here is a thin-walled vessel. And let's go ahead and, find it. I'll go ahead and poke a hole. It goes straight into the left atrium. That is the pulmonary veins coming in. All right. So I'm just going to review while I'm outside here. I got the pulmonary veins. I got right above it actually I see it now here. I've got the left pulmonary artery and the right. So it's branched. Here is the inferior vena cava and the superior vena cava. Remember these veins, thinner walls. Then we have, let's just call it the brachiocephalic right now, where it's before it branches, and the aorta. All right. Coronary arteries, left ventricle, right ventricle. Apex, left atrium, right atrium. Atrioventricular valves. This is the mitral or bicuspid. This is the tricuspid. Chordae tendineae, papillary muscles, aortic semilunar valve. And by the way this was cut, we really are going to have a hard time seeing the pulmonary semilunar valve. It's up inside. But that's all you need to know for our sheep heart dissection. Study up!